hearty welcome to this short video program. Most of those who do the exam in the OET, when you talk to them, we find their limitations in grammar, particularly in using tenses in the right way. We focus onto that limitation of the students and we try to handle that. And therefore, this video is intended for that and not a grammar class in detail. As we explain certain aspects of grammar, hope you are able to learn, you will learn, and you will correct your mistakes. Perhaps you're accustomed to using it regularly. And we hope you will enjoy this video for this purpose. As we said, it's a focus onto the limitations of students and not onto the assets of students. Limitations in using grammar in the right way in the writing module of OET. And therefore, a hearty welcome to this program. Here we go with the grammar in the context of OET. What is that actually? All of us know grammar is very important, and therefore we focus on the tenses for this particular class. We have the simple present, we have the present continuous, we have the present perfect, we have the present perfect continuous that comes in the present tense. Do not worry, we will explain. Please remember, we are not speaking grammar in detail as we do in certain classes, but rather precisely in the context of OET, because in OET writing module, the grammar is limited or tenses are limited to present tense, present continuous, present perfect and present perfect continuous, past tense, and occasionally future, and then the passive voice. Considering the difficulty students face in all these, we need to have an explanation so that you can understand how it is used in the context of your OET writing. As we said, we have the present tense, we have the past tense, we have the future tense, and then we use the passive voice of these tenses. And that's what we are going to explain. For the first session, we will focus on to the present tense, which comprises of the four aspects: the simple present, the present continuous, the simple present perfect, and present perfect continuous. Let's see how these things are applied in OET writing. Before we go into that, just a small introduction. Keep that in mind. Social background, social history, family background, lifestyle, and regular habits, all these things are written in present tense. It can be present perfect continuous, or it can be present perfect, it can be simple present, or even present continuous. Keep that in mind. When you write that particular paragraph in your writing, when it comes to social history regarding his social status or socially, in that context of that paragraph, regarding the lifestyle, regarding the social background, regarding the family background, and then the regular habits, what he does regularly, what she does regularly, all those things come in the present tense. Let's have a look at that in the context of OET. We come to simple present tense used in OET. As we said earlier, it is used in the context of social history, family background, lifestyle, and habits. In fact, when you look at these words, you'll understand regular activities, habits, repeated actions, regular activities, habits, and repeated actions. Now, all these words you've written down over here, you find on the board, we find them in OET. She uses drugs. He drinks alcohol. She exhibits symptoms of substance abuse. Medical report reveals. It indicates. He smokes. Mr. John lives. She needs or he requires. She feels or he feels. John works. All these words, we find them in OET. What do I mean by this? You find them in OET. When we talk about the social background or maybe the lifestyle, we know the person could be drinking, the person could be smoking, the person could be using drugs, or maybe he must be exhibiting certain symptoms, and maybe his blood report, his investigation report, or maybe examination and all that is concerning with that will reveal something, it indicates something, and maybe the person needs, maybe the person requires, maybe the person feels, isolated and insecure, and maybe the person works as a bank manager or works as a social worker, or she lives in a particular place, whatever be that. Keep in mind, please remember, we are not focused on the other part of simple present tense. Please remember, we are talking about why this yes over here, because you know that we are talking about the third person. He or she or John or Smith or Amy Brown, whatever be that, or who be that. Therefore, please, we are not talking about I and the first person or the plural of that we, or the second person you and the plural of that you, but we are concerned about the third person, and that's what you write in OET. So and so lives alone. So and so lives with. So and so uses. So and so drinks. And therefore, in the third person, he or she, singular, not plural. Because you're mentioning about that particular patient, we are mentioning about that particular person. And therefore, it could be the name, Mrs. Smith, or Mr. Edwin John, or maybe Lucy Brown, or Judy Burke, whoever be that, third person, singular. Third person, singular. Either with a name or without the name would mean, as we mentioned, he or she. To make it very simple, we are not going to the complicated or rather the other understanding. He or she, as it might be indicated in the notes. Therefore, how do we use this grammar? How do you use this simple presence? She uses drugs. A fact. He drinks liquor. He exhibits symptoms of substance abuse. His medical report, you're not talking I or you, his medical report reveals. The report indicates, and then again, ordinary word, he or she smokes, lives. She lives in her own house. She needs, she requires, or he requires, he feels and works. I've not explained much. I'm just getting you the idea. When you look at these words, automatically you will have an idea without any other rules explained that when you write, this is the way it comes. That's why I repeat that. And that's the reason we mentioned in the beginning itself, it is not a detailed class in grammar as such, but rather to get you to the fact of writing and correctly. So you want to write, she uses drugs. You want to write, she drinks alcohol, or he smokes 5 to 6 cigarettes per day. He lives in the city. She needs whatever she needs, that is mentioned over there. She requires help. She requires assistance. She requires support. And then she feels or he feels isolated. She feels insecure. He works as a bank manager. He works as a nurse. Whatever. I suppose you got it very clearly. No much of explanation. Of course, explanation is necessary. That's why the disclaimer. We are not talking about that line. But when you come to the fact of writing the social aspect, you know how to use that. They mentioned about drinks. He drinks. They mentioned about, lives in such a place. She lives. All those things come in the simple present. It could be the regular activity that person is in. It could be the repeated actions that the person is doing and that is not changed. Maybe it is the fact of his daily life. All those comes in the simple present tense. May I repeat these words because we have not used any other word. The reason is this. Please understand this. We have not mentioned any other word because these are the words usually that come in OET. As you know, when you look at the notes, case notes, and when you really have an idea, for example, drinks. There are variations of that when you come to the other aspect of present tense, present continuous or present perfect or present perfect. We will come to that. But now, as it is, the simple present comes into this context. Suppose, Mr. John, may I give an example? Mr. John lives alone. Correct sentence. Mr. John smokes cigarettes. Okay. Mr. John exhibits symptoms of, what would be that? Maybe, as we understand, substance abuse. The medical report, his medical report reveals, his medical report indicates, and he works. Remember, even introductory paragraph, he requires, so and so requires, she requires ongoing care, all in the simple present tense, requires. So I hope it is clear. We are not explaining the strictest way of applying grammar, but rather, that's why I said disclaimer, how you get your mind very fast to this particular point. The social history, family background, the regular habit, or the habits, regular actions and repeated actions. Why this yes? We are not talking about, when it comes to plural, it is without yes. We are precisely talking about or mentioning about the third person because that comes in OET. We don't, it's very rare that we put they because, you're talking about a person. That's why person, he or she, or the name of the person. Therefore, in the simple present with that, verb form, the S comes. It uses drinks and whatnot. So next time when you look at the notes, you know how you can use that word correctly. Because you're going to write about a person, either he or she, or with the name. And when you use the habit or regular actions or maybe repeated action or the social background, we speak about that. In connection with that, something else to be also mentioned. Even this, he is a bank manager. She is a social worker. He has friends or he has no friends. Negative can be. He has no contact. All this comes in the present tense. Okay. He has been, we'll come to that. We'll come to this present perfect continuous, we'll come to that because after this we'll come to that. Therefore, I hope it is clear. When we talk about the social background, when we talk about the family background, when we talk about his regular action, which he does daily, routine way, this is the way we use it. We have mentioned these words not for anything else, but these are the words that very often we find the OET. I hope it is clear. Therefore, do not write, he use, he drink, he exhibit. No, it comes with a yes. And then you complete it. He uses drugs. He exhibits symptoms, whatever. I hope it is clear. Therefore, please, simple present tense. We are focusing on the third person, not the first person, not the second person, and not the plural of that. In OET, in the context of OET, we are focusing onto the third person, singular, and the simple present tense That means using yes with the verb form, the root of the word. And that's all. Naturally, you will be able to write it well. I hope so, more than any other explanation. May you get it directly and may you use it.